there's an awful lot of projects on the go at the moment, so that's pretty good. Just not enough hours in the day, it would seem. This week has been a bit of a washout, but with non-radio related things. So today we've obviously we've been off to Yeovil via Salisbury.
Right, good evening all from G8GKQ. Welcome to the BATC Net. Phil, yes, you're on the chat, and you were on the transmission earlier when other people were transmitting. So if you can just keep an eye out on what's going on the transponder before you transmit, Phil.
Okay, I'll come on whilst Dave is sorting out his crash. And yeah, Albert, if you're listening, it's really difficult at the moment to find PAs. Speak to Jim. Look on eBay and don't look on AliExpress. Dave, can you give us the order, perhaps, of the net, and then we'll start it off once you've done the introduction, or do you want to let us know that you fixed it again, and then I'll drop down.
By that, have I got audio? 1 2 1 2. Yes, it's the night view across Portsmouth towards Southampton. Anyway, let's get myself on. Right, good evening all. I shall need to apologise for the last umpteen months or so that I've not been around, but things. Well, I'm usually still at work at this point. This is just I've got a couple of days off at the moment. Right. You've caught me off guard. Didn't expect to be first on, to be honest. So anyway, right. So we should have got rid of the right. Right. I treated myself to something the other day, and you can blame me for the bad weather because since buying it, it's well, I've had 2 uses of it so far. I bought a new telescope, so that's the telescope, 100mm. But more importantly, what I actually bought with it was a go-to mount, which is that little device there. And the nice thing with this thing is if I switch it on and switch my phone on, Astra, Scan Pro, connect. Right, I'll speed it right the way up because otherwise you won't see it move, but you see that turning? You can probably hear it. And it'll turn as well. And it's got suitable speed to it to track satellites. So guess what I'll be trying with. Anyway, so that's one of the things. There's no point looking at the moon or stars because it's always cloudy. So I'll better switch it off, and I. But anyway, but yes, to answer Bernie's question, there's the transmit, and the nice thing with this is, it's not only is it 1.25 inches, which you can see, it's actually 2 inches as well. So the idea is to make up a 1.5 inch to 2 inch adapter. And yes, I should probably end up using it on lasers, on the LED stuff as well. So be interested to see how it works anyway. So really, other than that, I haven't done too much. I hope to be on this Sunday, but it's likely to be, as it was last time, working from somewhere very inconvenient, probably either the staff canteen again, or possibly a hill if I can get the Skype off. But they're starting to clamp down on skiving. So and beloved leader has yeah, anyway, I won't go there. But anyway, so that's that. I can't think of anything else I've got at the moment. VLF stuff, yeah, still playing around with that. I did can I? Oh, I won't bother. I managed to get some nice sprites, I don't know what you call them, little pretty pattern things off of the storms the other evening, so that was quite good. And that's pretty much it, really. Still waiting to see my first ever signal on 8 kilohertz, but other than my own, that is, which is only generated within the same sound card, so not massive. Right, anyway, I should pass it on around to Richard, GI4DOH, in the group G7JTT.
G7JTT with the group GI4DOH. The sound there, just everything going wrong. For some reason, my little mouse is taking a dislike to the amount of 2.4 gigahertz and around here. That wasn't going too well for me, so I think that's all sorted out now. Bit of a panic earlier. The Winter Hill isn't doing what it normally does on a Thursday night, and I think it's all from a fortnight ago when I was last on. I did an update on it, and I didn't check that everything was going okay, so probably just have to go in and configure again, because I did have a monitor connected to it, and probably just need to go in with putty and set things up, but I have to read the instructions again how to do that. So good old faithful Ryde is doing the job for me here, and I can see myself on that. So I wasn't on last week. I think we were having some of the new starts coming on that. It was actually our club AGM, and I got the short straw with that again. I'm on the committee for another year. But what I have been doing is been working on a little 10-meter transverter, courtesy of Mike, the PCB. With that, that's all built up and working. Took a couple of little tweaks at the end, but that's all okay. And I've tested out this little broadband 2-watt Chinese amplifier I got on eBay about a year ago or so, and it actually does quite well on this. It's got about 50 dB gain and gets me up to about 28 dBm before the shoulders start coming up on the signal. And then conveniently, somebody has just given me this big thing, which is supposedly a 600 watt solid state CB stroke 10-meter linear amplifier, although they tell you in the instructions that it's against the law to use it for CV, but it doesn't work, and I've yet to find out why. I've got the schematic downloaded and checked. We've got 3 10-amp fuses in parallel. They're all okay, so I haven't got as far as looking at things other than the little power restricting resistors on the input, which are how it sets the power. They look a bit underrated, but the PCB they're mounted on looks as though it's got fairly hot. So we challenge to get all that sorted out, and it should have a little bit of power on 10 meters. So looking forward to getting on the air with that at some stage. So that's probably enough for me this round. I'll try reading up on the instructions on the Winterhill. I probably just need to check the configuration on that, but as I've only done it once before, I do need to read the instruction sheet again. So round to you, Mike. G0MJW with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Right, thank you, Richard. Good to see you got that working, and the trials and tribulations and debugging my errors. Very good. I think Colin may be interested in this if he's watching, and also anyone else who's built one of those, but Richard discovered that by cutting one of the ground plane tracks he could stop it oscillating. So that seems to be good. Sorry, we're looking at all these questions on server supplies. I guess we should do a wiki on power supplies for PAs. But the popular HP ones used for Bitcoin mining, they are 12 volts, but you can adjust them to 13.8. The problem they have, though, is that the output is not floating. At least it's not normally. So what you need to do is you need to make them floating, and that's possible, but it requires a little bit of work. Jim is the expert on that, I think. So speak to him, and you can get 24 and then 36 or 48 using those. Ridiculous currents. There are also 28 volt power supplies readily available if you need them. So lots of capability. Right, sorry about that. A bit of a large waffle, but I think it's useful to come over those things occasionally. My system runs off 12 volts. It uses a stealth microwave PA at 18 amps, but I only use low power. And to give you an idea, I'm currently running, well actually I'm running QRO for me, but the tree has grown and that's why. So I'm running 15 watts, 1.5, but I've got a 2.4 meter dish, so that's equivalent to about 60 watts to get a signal level around this sort of level from a 1.2 meter dish. Perhaps a bit less if there aren't any trees in the way. In terms of stuff, I've got a few things to show. If I can turn on the bench camera. This is a picture of what's on the bench, and a note to tell the camera to focus. So I've been working on a Walkman, a Sony Walkman. I've just replaced the belt, and it now works. On this cassette here, I've been recording a 3 kilohertz tone, which I've been using to set the speed right, because it was running a little bit slow after that. I think it probably needs some lubrication, but I haven't got round to that. There's also a big pile of 1 millihenry inductors. I found a source on AliExpress and ordered them. They've got an impedance of about 5 ohms, which is pretty good, and I'm using those on a particular thing, an HF loop, but useful for that sort of application. And the one thing that I was going to show you, which arrived earlier in the week, at least I think it was earlier this week, so we come on to the Easy Cam. Don't know if Martin's got his yet, assuming he's finished dinner, of course, and he's looking. But this little thing here is a very nice little arbitrary waveform generator. So it generates almost nothing up to 30 megahertz arbitrary waveforms. You can get a 60 megahertz one as well, but I really don't see the point. It's cheaper to get this one, and they're not all that expensive. This one's made by Unity, or Unity, I suppose they're supposed to be pronounced. Anyway, and below that, underneath, is the loop amplifier, which I've been talking about for some time. Yeah, so with that, I guess I need to pass it round. A few more comments. No, I don't. Oh yes, there was one comment, Richard, on your CB linear. So let's get my camera on. The CB linear. There's two things wrong with that statement. One is that it's a CB amplifier, which of course is not allowed. The other is linear. But I would say it's a nice case and box to build a linear into. I don't think the device that you have will be any good. But I've been using MRF 300s, which seem to give good results. And there's a kit from NXP, which you can use. So maybe use one of those or build something in. But I think Martin's also got a design that might do the job and could use the box usefully. I do that quite a lot with PAs. I use old BNOS amplifiers. The BNOS amplifiers were great, and they had really good heat sinks. And those of them that work, I can't bring myself to take apart. But the ones that aren't useful, e.g. they're not for the right band or they're broken, they make wonderful kits. Actually, I shouldn't tell anyone this. No, they're completely useless. So throw them away. Sell them very cheap on eBay to me. Right, okay. Who's next? Phil, I think, is it? G8XTW, we saw your test card earlier. So round to you. G8XTW, G0MJW.
Well, I think we got some audio. Oh, yeah, just appeared on the... Right, okay. And good evening. And from Upper Sundon, I just got a call telling us we're a bit short on monitor this in HDMI. It's about half an hour before the start of the net, so I'm having to look at a screen which is right the other side of the room, watching the BATC stream. Anyway, so good evening. We're location Upper Sundon, east of Phil. We're about 5 miles north of Luton. That's the location. We're running about 30 the Polish into a 1.1 meter dish just outside the windows, so not very much feeder. And we're running the and vMix. Well, that's the setup. Nothing very elaborate, I'm afraid. The other thing that's failed this evening is my bench camera. I did have a couple of things I was going to show, but bench cameras decided to fail this evening, so we're not having a good start, I'm afraid. I hope the audio is okay. Again, I can't really monitor it, but I think I did a little test with Phil earlier on. Yes, I promised Phil that if we got his system working that I'd come on, so I've had to keep my word and put in an appearance on the satellite. Yes, we do a little bit of terrestrial work. We make regular contact with Jim and the chaps up in Kettering on a Monday night, and that's a really enjoyable little net. It's nice to do some terrestrial work occasionally, and I have a very good net, about half a dozen of us on 12:55 on a Monday night. And I think Phil will be joining us soon when he gets his aerials on the mast. Well, in fact, they come on Mondays and Tuesdays, but we normally join them on a Monday. And they're getting quite good pictures up to the Kettering and Corby area on 23 SEMS. I was going to show a little video that I got from Ian 3KKD. We used to have a fairly regular sked on 70 SEMS, and in fact normally our skeds would go on for a full hour, and most enjoyable. Well, I do have a little video which I won't put on this time. It runs for just under 5 minutes, but it may be of interest. So for a second time round, perhaps put that on. And I don't think I should get my monitor sorted. I think it's the display port adapter. My computer has a display port output and a little device that converts it to HDMI. And I got a feeling that that may be playing up. I'm hoping it's that and not the monitor. Right, so that's all from me then. Pass it round to Martin, G4FKK. So over to you, Martin, from G4CBE. Let's put the test card back on.
I just realised what you meant, Martin. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to mute this. Oh, I'm not doing well, am I? Not going very well. Let's see. This please, I think.
Okay, let's see if I can get some audio. See if I can get some audio. See if I can Super. Right, good evening one and all. This is David, M0YDH. I'm first time on the net, oh heck, and I think I've got audio. I seem to have pictures. It seems to be working. I hope that's okay, and I've only taken 2 years to build everything to get here, so and I'm using a lot of G7 NTG equipment, which hopefully works okay too. So I can see my Jim meter, which is putting out a lot of power into a cable supplied by Jim, which is probably absorbing quite a lot of the power into a 1.1 meter dish outside. So we're doing the best we can. Fantastic. Welcome to Wolverhampton. This is Italy Oscar 82 Whiskey Oscar, and I daren't touch anything in case it goes wrong, so it's a bit of a lash up. If there's a second over, I might have the roving pie cam and show you what is what, but that would be tempting fate. There are too many cables that will go loose. The pie camera's a notorious one for having a loose HDMI cable and no pictures, so I won't do that. Yeah, learn to laugh like G4KLB. That'll be good. Okay, it seems to have worked. That's enough for this time. I'm going to pass it round and pass it on to G8GTZ from M0YDH and the group. And wait.
Right, let's see if this works. It might work. No, it's not very good, is it? That's terrible. Right, next please. That's terrible. Right, next please.
Okay then, let's see. Let's see how we get on, eh? It's just one of those nights, isn't it, really? just one of those nights, I fancy. But anyway, very good evening. Yeah, I think we're up. That's okay. Hopefully that'll be enough. I did turn the power down a little bit, but I can easily turn it up if it's not enough for people. But, what, high D6, is it? Okay. Oh, is it? Oh, it's gone up a little bit. It'll come back down in due course. It's the PA's a bit efficient when it goes, so that's all right. But that should help the other stations. Well, where have I been today? You might well ask. You might not ask, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. So today I've been visiting some very interesting aircraft. I wonder where this. I know I told you earlier, but but these are some random photographs taken on my iPhone that I've just thrown on here because I've only just got back in, done SQ Net obviously, and so here's a lovely place to visit in Yeovilton. Very topical considering the stations that are watching. There we are. There's a picture. There's a cockpit of a Concorde. You don't see that every day, do you? So I'll just run through these. Look at that, eh? It's a shame they don't go anymore, isn't it, really? But yeah, wonderful day out. I've been there before, obviously. There's the XYL enjoying herself. Look. Yeah. There's another one. There's another Buccaneer. Oh, that's a Buccaneer. There's a. No, it's not Buccaneer. There's another one coming in a minute. There's the XYL having a wonderful day out. There she is again. You can't see her there, but there's the Concorde, which you can walk right the way through. Fantastic, that is. I was saying earlier that the smell of the electronics is something else. The smell of the electronics there, it's like opening up like I say, a pie valve set. It's got that same aroma. It's unmistakable. Fantastic it is. Look at that. Look at the light. They put lights in that one. Look. Put lights in. Fantastic. Look at that, eh? That's yeah, my mate was given a ride in one of those and it made him quite unwell. It's not for the faint-hearted, I can tell you. But there we are. There we are. That's inside the back end of a Wessex, I think. I like that because that's the sort of that's a bit like my van in a way. A bit like the I should model my van on one of these, I think. And that should be ideal for a bit of ATV there. Look, it's got a screen and everything. There we are. There's the same one again. This is the last picture coming up, so I won't. Oh no, that was the last. That was the last picture. But there we are. There's the XYL. Look, there she is. Wondering what on earth we've been doing. There we are. Okay, so that's where we've been. Fleet Air Arm Museum. A wonderful day out. So there we are. Strangely enough, there was an advert on the radio as we were leaving. There was an advert on the radio. It's been a day of odd coincidences, really. Considering I took her for the day out, today was the day I was taking her for a day out. So she went for. I put various things forward for suggestions. That was one of them, but that was turned down initially. But by the time we got to Salisbury, she decided it would be a good idea to go over to Yeovil. I thought there's not really a direct route from Salisbury to Yeovil. However, courtesy of Google Maps, we made our way. So that's what we've been doing. Radio-wise, I'll do this because I may not get a second go. I've been building what I call the long ride. You've seen this one the last time. But it's actually been tested and worked first time obviously. So I've been using one of these for the HDMI. I've been using one of these ribbon cables. It's not working very well on that camera. I'll just quickly do that camera and then I'll get off of here because it's be enough stations coming on. So there we go. Let's go shaky cam. We also have to have a bit of shaky cam. So since I was on last, we've fitted the fans, got everything done, and I've just got to make off this for the composite output. Managed to get a right-angled plug that fits in there. But I've been trialing this ribbon cable, and it works a treat. Works a treat on there. That's just an ordinary HDMI. I don't know if I can get it out. Space is limited. Space is limited, but there's enough. But using this ribbon, and it works perfectly. No problems at all, really. No problems at all. So that works really well. There we are. So that is my Ryde, which also doubles as a Ryde receiver for SQ. This will be Ryde's. This will be the backup one. So that's what we've done. We've got all the power supplies in. I don't think they were in last time I showed it, but all the power supplies are in. I run the fans off their own little power supply, so I can adjust them a little bit. So there we are. That's probably enough from me. I'm going on a bit today. Unlike me, I know, but there we go. There we go. Right, it is G7 NTG after me. Okay, then get ready then, Jim. So I'm just about to switch off. Okay, G7 NTG to take it. G4KLB. There we go.
You caught me on the hop then, chaps. Just checking the audio. Okay, good evening everyone. To be honest, I was working on this 290 that you can see to my left here, and I completely forgot it was 8 o'clock. So my wife Maureen prompted me and said, "Should you be on the TV tonight?" I said, "Oh crikey, I've forgotten." So anyway, I'm here, thankfully. As you can see, I managed to get hold of this 290, and it's in superb condition. I had to replace the memory battery today, and I've done that, courtesy of work. And but it needs the pilot light in the display replacing. So I'm going to use a couple of LEDs. If anyone's got a couple of LEDs, the square ones that shoot out each side, I need two. One to shine onto the meter and the other one onto the LCD display. I don't think I've got any in my box at all. So I suppose I should be looking at the camera, and I'm looking at myself on the screen. Let me change over to the other camera. There we go. Okay. Taking its time tonight, isn't it? Right. There's not much else to actually talk about really. I saw that John was on GTT, and he hasn't. I haven't seen him on, so he must have been on earlier tomorrow. So there you go. A lot to talk about, nothing really, but there you go. at least I've got tomorrow off, and we can go shopping or doing something anyway. I've got a problem with my solar hot water system at the moment. It's got low pressure, and we haven't been able to figure out what it is. And we've only got half a bar of pressure, and it should be 2, I believe. And we've been without it working for 2 days. And it is amazing, actually, because we've had the things on the roof for 12 years, and it's only when you find that they stop working do you miss them. And because it costs nothing to heat the water as well, which is good. Anyway, enough from me. I don't know who's taking it next, but that's just about it from me. I can just go back to the call sign, where the heck I put it. That is, that's the one. There we go. And see you hopefully again next week. G0DQH. We're about halfway between Southampton and
Right. Put a suitable amount of power out. Mute the audio. Okay, yeah, not a good evening technically, that's for sure. My problem was the C920 fell off the USB for some reason. I got the bing bong and the C920 stopped working earlier. No idea why. But anyway, seem to be okay now. So, as I was saying, welcome to the BATC Cure 100 Net. I didn't really get that off to a good start. Things to note. CQTV deadline, 19th of September. Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. This coming weekend is an activity weekend. 12:55 and down. I'll be out on Sunday morning. Look forward to seeing people on the air then. CAT 21 Part 2 will be on the 16th of October on Saturday. We've got some good talks lined up, so please put that in your diary. I will show you my aircraft picture of the week, which is this fella. On Friday, after Colin had mentioned it on Thursday, it looked like a good day, so Sue and I went down to Bournemouth for the Bournemouth Air Festival. Had a really good day out, and that was probably the best picture of the day. Really good to see Typhoon, see the Reds, and watch some helicopters as well. Not that they really float my boat, but the Typhoon was good. Okay, yeah, I wish I had flown the Reds. I've flown the aircraft, but not in the formation. Right, let's go back to camera. There we go. This week's activity, main thing has been the 8-way switch. Probably showed this last week, but you'll see I've now got a logic board in there to do the 8-way switching. A front panel there, still missing the voltmeter on the front, that's going to go on the front, and rear panel still missing about 4 phono sockets because I ran out, but I've got all the BNCs sorted on there, and power input is from the is on power poles there. So that's been the main project. Secondary project, I've been preparing to get a 3.4 gigs transverter going. I managed to get the local oscillator sorted, so I've got a 2.9 gig LO sorted for that, but I haven't got any further with that. I've been looking at EMC calculations for a Cure 100 dish. We will be coming out with some guidance on what EMC calculations you need to do for a Cure 100 dish. The good news is it's no more than common sense. writing a few CQTV articles, and mending an audio dongle. I lost my audio. Audio on the my Portsdown 2020 that I use for streaming, and it was one of these white audio dongles that we recommend, and the 3-volt supply that is used for bias on the microphone had failed. I added a 10k resistor to put one in, and it started again. Really good to see Arthur on the net, and David. Superb pictures from you, David, and good to see you again, Arthur. Thank you for coming on. Colin, yes, the Overton via Salisbury doesn't seem best route, but I passed your place last Friday. You passed my place this week. And the streaming info, if you're talking about the call sign on the stream, GB3RN, sorry, I don't know the name, it might be Ian. It's on menu 3, call and locator information. So that's it. Let's whip round very quickly once more. But first of all, we'll go to who did I say it would be first? G7NTG to take it first, followed by G4FKK, and then we'll get back to John G7JTT. G7NTG to take it, G8GKQ and the BATC Net.
Let's come over the top. Don't care over the top, isn't it?
It's a nightmare. Audio. Right. Apologies for the lack of audio earlier, and I'm going to blame Tim for this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Anyway, good evening all. Lovely to see David and Arthur and Phil, of course. I've been watching over the last few days that all starting to happen, Phil. I've been watching GB3TZ as well, so all very exciting. I'll just run through my notes because I've forgotten what I was going to talk about. John, was that an ASL adjusting thing? Because that looked really good. I wrote down Skywatcher, but by the time I'd written that down, the whatever else it was saying on it, I'd missed. But that looked very nice. It's just what I could do with here, really. Richard, okay, about the 10-meter transverter and the CB amp. Yeah, you might find it's not quite linear, but you never know. And it might be adjustable to make it linear. I'm sure it will run less power than it says on the box, though, if you do make it linear. And I wonder what this Winter Hill update was that you did. I haven't updated mine, I don't think, since I installed it. I've put loads of other stuff on the Raspberry Pi that it runs on, though. Fingers crossed with no issues. And I'm interested in this cut ground plane track. I've stabilised my one, but I haven't tried it in the box yet, so we may find that your ground plane cut track might be just the thing. Mike, I like the Walkman. No, I've not got the EasyCam yet, Mike. I'll drop Noel a note later, see if he's still got it. The waveform generator looks excellent. I did manage to write the numbers down for that, so I shall look into those. Oh, and Richard, this is the NXP kit that Mike was talking about there. It's a reasonable price from Mouser, and you get two MRF 300s in it, as well as the printed circuit board and a heat sink. Well, not a heat sink, a heat spreader for a heat sink, and printed circuit board. You do have to buy all the other bits, for whichever band you want. But I think there's a fairly well-known list of bits for that, which we might be able to dig out. No, well, thank you very much. PC repairs. Well, yes, I'll come on to that now then, because Tim, I think you're on, aren't you? MW0RUD. I've been deeply stung by my lack of Linux knowledge, etc. So I can probably show you what I installed here. Probably if I go there. This isn't a very good. Let's make that bigger. So I've put a virtual machine, virtual thing on the computer here. So I've got Ubuntu, which actually works really well. I've put the Raspbian desktop and Fedora as well, but I've not had so much luck with those as yet. But what was interesting was I ran up Ubuntu, so I was going to put it on the screen and think, well, Tim will be really impressed now. But the reason I had no audio was that for some reason it stole the audio. I'm using a Jabra a USB headset here, and I was thinking, what on earth's happened then? Because it was all working before. And then I remember I'd given Ubuntu permission to use the Jabra, but it seems that having been given permission, it keeps it for itself. So Linux is still a dark art as far as I'm concerned. But I have got GNU Radio working on it. I've even been able to get the Pluto sync. And just briefly, because I've been droning on too much, Colin, you'll be interested. I've got a couple of these. This is a 12-volt one. When it arrived, that capacitor there, the 12-volt, or the VCC smoothing capacitor, had been damaged in the post, so I had to put a new one on. But it seems to work, so I might be playing around with some of the stuff you're doing. That'll be the VM stealing it in Windows, not Linux. That would be the VM. I'd still blame Linux, Dave. I'm sorry. It wouldn't be happening if Linux wasn't running on it. Check the checkbox in the device driver. Allow apps to take exclusive control. Well, let's see if you can find the device driver. It depends which one you're talking about, Mike. Anyway, I won't drone on about that. So a lesson learnt. Arthur, excellent audio. I heard you struggling with that a bit earlier, but it's good. There's an echo, isn't there? Oh, God. And David, M0YDH, great to see you. I didn't see a great deal of you because I was rummaging, trying to work out why this microphone wasn't working. And the picture was absolutely superb, Dave, and the EMC calcs will be good. I have got some of these, but I actually use these ones in my ports down. Don't worry, I'm not asking you to support it when it doesn't work anymore. But those little 3D ones work quite well in my ports down stroke Langstone. Right, that's enough. So back round onto John.
Right, let's just make sure we get some audio. As everybody seems to be struggling with it tonight. Right, there's some audio. Let's mute mine. Right. To Martin, as you just on, this particular one is the Skywatcher AZ GTE, and yes, it is an AZ mount. It's Wi-Fi controlled, and on the phone, where is it? You've just got that arrangement, so you can just literally just move up, down, left, right. But when you get it onto the computer, you can use third-party drivers, which then means you can use Stellarium, and Stellarium then allows you to run tracking satellites. I haven't tried it yet. Mind you, what's actually quite amazing is the 2 nights I actually managed to use the telescope. The field of view on it isn't massive. The amount of times that you see, yeah, that's exactly where I got mine from, actually, Mike. They were very, very good. So I got it out to small packed and next day delivery, etc. But yeah, the 2 nights I managed to use it. You'll be watching something, and the amount of times a Starlink comes flying past, and it's just incredible how many are up there. Almost every few minutes, one was passing in front of us. They do 2 models out, by the way. That's the GTE, and they do a GTI. Now, the difference is the GTI has got dual encoders on it, which means from a telescope point of view, you can undo the clutches, move the thing round to where you want to go, and it knows where you've moved it to. That one doesn't have the dual encoders in it, but once you've got it that it knows where it is, as long as you don't undo the clutches on it, it carries on knowing where it is. So from our point of view, that's the cheaper version. So it's I can't remember, £100 or something, whatever it was, as a package. So that was that. To Jim, or James rather, the only square LEDs I've got one of those, which is just a red square block one, and I have a number of these star ones where you've got the lights come out at the end in red and green. If they're any good for you, you're more than welcome to some of those. And to show you how bright they are, I just found I don't know how good the charge is on this thing, but I mean the green's quite bright, and the red is also quite bright. So I've got quite a number of those ones, but I've only got one of the red one there. So if they're any good, let us know, and you're more welcome to those. I'll drop them around to you. And yes, Mike, cloudy skies. One of the other things I will be getting for that is something to look at the sun as well. So then you're absolutely sure that there won't be no sun. So start looking for sunspots. Might be something useful as well. So yes, it is. Actually, it might not be a 32. It might be a 30, 20. I think. Is it 20? No, it is a 20 32. Yeah, it is. I thought it might have been a 16 one, but it's not. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. Can't think of anything else really. Nothing else I've done, nothing else I've made. So no, that's pretty much it. So around to was it Richard again? I'm sure it was. Yeah, Richard again. GI4 DOH G-Sub and JTT in the group.
G7 JTT with the group GI4 DOH. Just trying to get myself organized again. Yep, I still haven't got the Winter Hill up and running. I did go in and edit one of the files that was set to boot up to local, and I changed that to any hub. I think it still wasn't doing it right, so I'll sort that out later on. I can't sort of monitor what's going on here and sort of do all that at the same time. Can't multitask anymore, and even in my younger days, when I thought I could multitask. I probably couldn't anyway. But there you go. I wonder, I'm just going through the kits there, Martin, whether that is the MRF 101 kits. Just took a quick look at Mouser there, amongst other things. But certainly, the fact that I can get almost a watt out of this little thing means that I should be able to get something slightly more out of my my Elecraft linear that I use on a day-to-day basis on the HF band. Get another 10 or 15 dB out of it. Got to start somewhere. The other thing that I've been working on this week is the saga of the 23 centimeter amplifier. Jim, you'll be pleased to know that I'm nearing completion. The holding point was the N-type connector for the box. I got a couple of these tails on eBay. And Dave, what you were saying, I tried your way just using a junior hacksaw. So much better than trying to use a Stanley knife to cut through the insulation. And I did use a new junior hacksaw blade, and it was easy enough, clean cut, and all the rest. So I don't know why I didn't think of that, but thank you for the tip at Cap 21 there. And I have marked the date for the online Cap 21 as well. I would hope to be there. So not a lot else for me. The tasks for the coming week are to now that I've got a connector on that, to actually try put in some RF through it and just find out how hard I can drive it and all the rest, and then it's put the lid on it. And again, part of the long-term plan of getting out portable, because this QTH isn't really up to it. So yeah, no other toys. Oh yeah, the only other comment was for the cylindrical type N-type connector, little QMax cutter that I bought in 1975 in Letchworth in Hertfordshire when I was over doing a training course with International Computers. Still works. I think it's 15.9 millimeters, but in old money it's actually 5/8 of an inch. And I bought that specifically for making holes in the wings of cars, for putting on your standard 2 meter, 4 meter aerials. In the days when we didn't think twice about making holes in the bodywork of the car, bodywork in cars didn't last that long anyway before they started to rust through things properly. So I'll pass it on round to, I think it's Mike again, G0MJW with the group. This is GI4DOH. Good night all.
Okay. Thanks, Richard. All is working, I hope. Right, just a few comments then. Yeah, we've all got QMax 5/8 cutters. I've got one, and I've got a bigger one as well for different use. I can't remember what it was for. They used to do ones for the D-type sockets and plugs, but they got quite expensive. And I think you can even get one for an IEC connector, for a mains connector. Saves doing square holes, which is always a difficult thing to do. And yeah, it was really good to see Arthur and Dave as well, and Phil, although we've seen Phil before. So that's great. Good to see more people on. There was a question that Martin asked regarding these PCBs. Now, unfortunately, the one I have is black. So it's very hard to see anything on it, and it won't focus because I haven't written focus on it. But on the bottom here there's a very, very fine track which is actually connected to the ground plane, and I think that's the one that Richard found, that if he broke that, it must have been acting as an antenna or something. Well, I don't quite see how that happened, or was the case, but it seems to have worked for Richard, so try it, I think. Yes, right. What else was there? I think that was about it. Let's go round. I think it's going to Phil again. So 7-3 everybody. Catch you all next week. And I might have something to show next week rather than a Walkman. I have to get round to building things again, but it's been very busy, and it's likely to be busy for a while. So maybe not. We'll see. Right, G8XTW. Over to you, G0MJW.
Right. Crikey, that came round quicker than I was expecting. On the chat, I'm not too sure. But I will... who's after me? I've lost the plot. Oh, it's Jim after me, so maybe we could try Arthur after you, Jim, before Dave gets it back. Anyway, yeah, good. And well, all copied. That came round to say rather quickly. Thanks, John, for the Sky Watcher thing. I've just looked it up, and I thought I almost fainted at the price, but actually it's not a bad price for what it does, is it? So I might have to think about that. It's Christmas coming up, obviously. Wi-Fi controlled. Presumably that still works okay if you're transmitting up it. I don't know. Richard, the MRF kit, I've just tried to look that up. They do quite a lot of MRF 300 stuff, but the one I got was called the MRF 300 AN-Start, START, and it's some sort of starter kit, and it's about £57, what it was when I bought it. Does it actually say what it is on? Yeah, MRF 300 AN-Start. I wonder if that'll show up. I haven't got focus written. Oh, look, that did focus. MRF 300 AN-Start. I don't know if the Q code has got that on it as well. But if you look that up on Mouser, you should find that fairly successfully, Richard. Oh, I've just nearly dropped everything out of it. I think your shirt's wonderful, Mike. I've a very similar one upstairs. And yes, I don't suppose it would do much for the BBC cameramen. And I recently got this. This is actually, well, they advertise it as a QMax cutter. And it's quite a big one. And it was a very reasonable price because QMax cutters got very expensive. Certainly from RS they did. And I've got all the usual ones that we've all got. But this was quite a reasonable one, and it's the right size cutter for the meters that Jim uses on his power meters. So there you go. What I'm going to try and do, Jim, if you're still watching, well, of course you are, because you're on after me, is put one of your power meters actually inside the case of the amplifier. Try and make it all self-contained, and then put the meter on the front panel. There's just enough room. By luck, I've left just enough room to put one of those meters on the front, what will be the front panel, if it ever gets a front panel. So there you go. Diddle-a-diddle-a-do. Dual encode is right. Okay, well, that worked well, so I'm going to put it round to David now. M0YDH. So it's not you after me, Jim. Apologies for that. So it's Mike 0 Yankee Delta Hotel next. And Phil reckons Arthur's retired for the evening. And Phil had a comment which started "ech." So I guess you're having the same problems we all are. I think Gary might have been watching earlier. I don't know if Gary ZS6YI is still watching. No, it doesn't look like he is, but sorry you had to put up with all this shenanigans. Right, round to you then, David. Mike 0 Yankee Delta Hotel, G4 Fox King standing by.
Okay, colossal noise. Okay, colossal noise. Okay, colossal noise. Ah! Oh, relief. Right. Good evening. Thank you for having me back on. And I'll try and respond to things people have said. I'm not going to play Piggy in the Middle this weekend as the station in the Midlands, because I'm going to go to the Ballylake Railway Society Members Weekend in Llanuwchlyn, near where I grew up, and muck about with steam trains and see some of my railway friends. That'll be delightful. I think I said I promised to do the roving camera. Let's put the lavalier mic back on. Could have a calamity. Right, roving camera time. So it is a lash up, because it's the first time. Quick one. So all very important is the diving board for mounting the pie cam on using the Gorilla Grip. Boston. And I've got my blackboard ready to notify Noel or whoever's on next. I think it was Noel. A rat's nest of wiring temporarily, and the port stand 4 has the attenuator, G4KLB's attenuator, and an AMSAT driver amp, and in the distance is my gym meter, which you can see is putting out a lot of power for whatever reasons. Anyway, it works, and this is I don't know if it will be overexposed, is my port stand 4, which is very hard to operate, and of course I've got the magic speaker flap so you can see inside. Okie dokie, brilliant job. Right, I'll pop that back on here, and hopefully you haven't all got motion sickness, which is pretty good. And the ham radio sign in the background settled on red tonight. I tend to not have Qmax cutters. I tend to use step drills these days, which have the added benefit of countersinking the hole until of course you get to 24 millimeters. And the other thing I've got on the bench is my here it comes, is my constant electronic load project, which I've finally received the last ICs from Farnell. I ordered it in March, in June, so it took a while. So there we go. Anyway, I think I'll stop there, and thank you very much for listening, and I shall get ready to hand over transmission. I think if I see that on there, I can drop carrier.
You on for the first time. Some who have obviously been watching my techniques and mimicking them. Excellent. Yeah, good to see you on there, David. That was very good. Okay then. It's a shame what Noel's having a bit of trouble there, isn't he? Really, dear oh dear. So I'll go straight to shaky cam. Straight to shaky cam. Here we go. That's it. Yeah, I reckon then Mike, this track down here, it's already broken at C26. I see. I've had to put foam over this bit. This one doesn't oscillate out of the box with this foam on, but it does inside. So I put lots of foam on the other one that is in the box. I'm working fine, actually. This is the older version. Still got the device here and not up here. So we're reckoning then this line down here, and let's get a pointy stick. And this line here, so we break it, I suppose do it all over the place here, just break it here I suppose, and probably just over here somewhere, I assume is the point that people are doing it. That could be acting as an aerial, I suppose. Can you even see the line? You can just about see it. Just about see it there. So that might be interesting. So this is the older version of the board. I assume that's the one you refer to. I have got the newer version of the board with this device repositioned over here somewhere, and various other bits. It's got the filter bits in there as well, which this one doesn't actually have. Okay, that's enough of that. You can answer me tomorrow or something on that one if necessary. Right, okay, there we go. Well, that's been very good, isn't it? Excellent, excellent pictures from most people, and most with good sound. You get nights like this. You get nights where almost everyone has some issue, and then it happens less and less as time passes. But there we are. It's just something strange going on, isn't it? Really. But yeah, that's the little Mike's little device. This one is this one is a KLB special. There's nothing different about it apart from that. But the one that does work is in the box. This one is absolutely fine in the box, happy as anything. Although it is completely foamed up. Doesn't have to be expensive foam either. I just use stuff that chips and things come in, and it seemed to work right. Put copper tape to close the gap between the top side of the PCB and the box. Okay, right, thank you. Thank you, Richard. I just foamed everything. I haven't got enough time to take the lid off of that one to show, but that one, it seems to be absolutely fine, the one that's in the box, but it did seem to want to take off. But I haven't built the revised PCB as of yet. There we go. Okay, I think that's it for this evening from me. I guess it might be round to Dave. Otherwise, he'll quickly put something up on there if it's not to Dave. But that's all. Oh, okay. Thank you, Dave. Sorry, we're going to. Apologies for that, because we keep missing him out. Apologies for that. That's a disgraceful thing to do. Okay then, so it's Jim. G0DQH. To take it, G4KLB.
Perhaps not then. Sounds like Jim has gone as well. Okay, well, an eventful night, yeah. Starting with my crash. At least mine was soft. I'm sorry to hear about Noel's SSD and the other problems all around the place. But really good to see David on for the first time. One comment for you, David. You can, as you're using PyCam, you can select 16:9 on the format button on your ports down 4, and you'll get a 16:9 picture. And we'll see even more detail of your shack there. And yes, I'm a fan of the little step drills. That's what I use for all my panels. And then I file funny shapes after that, including, I mean, this square shape here on the front of this panel, which is a reasonable square. That was just filed. That's for the LED. I've written here, Phil Smooth. Yeah, Phil. You're doing great. You did very well, thank you. One thing I did notice during there, and I think Mike spotted it too, was the spectrum view. Suddenly, everything died on it. It all went down below the baseline and came back up again. I've been trying to think what would have caused that. It wasn't, a power glitch or something at Goonhilly would have been a lot more chaotic, and an internet glitch would have been more chaotic as well. I reckon it was actually an aircraft flying through the beam. Had a quick look on Flight Radar 24 and couldn't see anything, but it could either be something low out of Culdrose there, which isn't very far away, a helicopter, or an airliner at greater height. I don't think it was a jamming event because we didn't lose the signal we were watching on TV. But there was nothing in the passband, so it would have to have been pretty high to be outside the passband and cause the ALC to go down that far. But very interesting. I reckon it was an aircraft. Talking of aircraft, there was talk about whether I used to fly in the Red Arrows. No, I didn't, but I did fly the Hawk during training, and this is a photo I took of one of my colleagues during training. I was just in the back seat as a passenger in the lead aircraft with the camera, no, that was out of Valley at number 4 FTS it'd been 1980, I think. So that's how old the aircraft is. That's why they're retiring them. Okay. Well, it's been a really interesting net. Good to see GB3RN up on watching us as well. And thanks, David, for coming on and making the effort. So I'll close the net now, but leave the frequency clear. Thanks a lot. G8GKQ. Closing the BATC net, and see you all next week.